Vladimir Putin is making incremental advances to seize eastern Ukraine. At least 18 people were killed, scores others were injured last week following an explosion at a shopping mall in the city of Kremenchuk. Ukrainian President Zelensky blamed a Russian missile for the explosion. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said a Russian missile took out a nearby depot, which housed U.S. and European ammunition. He said as a result, the nearby vacant mall caught on fire. Russia now controls the entirety of Luhansk province. However, Ukrainian forces remain optimistic they can turn the tide. CBN News contributing correspondent Chuck Holton went to the front lines in the Donbas region. He brings us this report.
More than 60 rockets rained down on Ukraine days after the country's petition for EU membership was accepted. Despite the persistent threat of missile attacks, Russia is struggling to meet its military objectives, even with a more modest goal of controlling the important mining and industrial cities in the Donbas region. For the past several weeks, the majority of Russia's combat power has been focused on taking the city of Severodonetsk, 90 miles from the Russian border that was once home to 100,000 people. Ukrainian forces are vastly outmanned, but with the help of American artillery and rockets, the defenders have made the Russians pay dearly for every bit of territory. Russian troops are pursuing a scorched earth strategy, which has left the city in ruins, even though most of those who live in this region are of Russian descent, and Russian rockets don't discriminate.
This lady behind me, his name is Olga, and her home was destroyed by a very large missile. Blew up all the houses in this area. It's just a residential district. There's no military targets here or anything. She's a Russian speaker who has a daughter who lives in Russia because she's lived in this house all her life. And she has no plans, no money to be able to go anywhere else. So she's just sort of sifting through the rubble at this point, trying to decide what to do next.
I was in the bathroom and don't remember the explosion. Everything just started to collapse. Then I heard my son outside asking if I was alive.
The city of Kramatorsk is all but deserted now, even though the Russian army is still more than 10 miles away. But the bombs are slowly getting closer.
This building in Kramatorsk was hit with a missile back in April, and you can see it just destroyed the entire building, including this hair salon. Now look at all these signs here behind me. These signs are actually written in Russian. That's because a large percentage of the people that live in Kramatorsk are Russian speakers. But you can imagine if Russia thought that they would get flowers thrown at them when they came into this area, once they bombed this person's hair salon, that person who might have been friendly to the Russian cause before certainly won't be anymore.
A lot of people already tired because they don't know what to do, they can't plan anything. A lot of people lost their job, they don't have money, so they need something to do to feed their families.
Approaching the front lines, the risk of getting caught in an artillery barrage rises greatly. But the soldiers dug in here say their morale is strong, as is their will to fight.
But when war came to us, everyone understands we need to destroy them. Because it's not right when your neighbor break down your door, go to your apartment, stealing your things, raping your wife. It's not right. We must to protect it and defend.
American long-range artillery is finally starting to make it to the front lines, but Ukrainian troops here say they will need a lot more of it to turn the tide in this war. In the meantime, they're working with what they have and doing their best to make every shot count.
Chuck Holton is back from Ukraine. He joins us here in the studio. Chuck, why are some people like Olga in your story there deciding to stay in the region when it's so dangerous?
They don't have the money to leave, and they don't have anywhere to go if they did leave. Now, you have to understand, I was down there before the war started and was talking to many of these villagers that live along what was then called the line of contact between the Donetsk and Luhansk separatist areas and Ukraine. And many of these people told me they had never gone more than 25 kilometers from their home in their entire lives. That woman that you mentioned, Olga, had lived in that house for 68 years. To live a place you've been for more than 6 decades and have to just go somewhere else is almost unthinkable to them.
They have nowhere to go.
And they don't have anywhere to go. They don't know anybody anywhere else. and they don't know where they would go. So they just figure they'll stay and make the best of whatever comes.
Now, why is Putin so adamant about eastern Ukraine? What do they have that he wants?
I believe the reason that he wants that region so badly is because since 2013, they have found more than 39 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in eastern Ukraine. And that natural gas could put a big dent in the revenues of the Russian state. The Russian government gets more than 40% of its income from oil and natural gas that it sells to Europe. So if Ukraine was able to develop that area and get the gas and sell it to Europe, it would be very costly for Russia and maybe even a death blow for the Russian government.
And maybe lower the price of oil and natural gas, right? Which they don't want to see, I'm sure. Our U.S. Congress passed over a month ago legislation granting $40 billion in aid to Ukraine, and Biden signed that. It's been well over a month, maybe 5 weeks now. They're still not getting the weaponry that they need. Why is that?
If you read the text of that bill, most of that is not going to Ukraine. It's what they call a Christmas tree bill. Everybody hangs what they want on it. And $21 billion of that aid is not slated to be released to Ukraine until future fiscal years, all the way to 2031. Of the $19 billion that is slated for rapid release, $9 billion of it is going to the Pentagon to help them buy weapons that in order to replace the weapons they've already given to Ukraine. So it doesn't give any more to Ukraine than they've had before. $4 billion of it goes to pay for U.S. troops in Poland. And there's $4 billion of it that is future loan guarantees for Ukraine to buy new weaponry from the United States that wouldn't get to Ukraine for a matter of years. And so it seems to me, when you read the text of this bill, that it was designed to look like we're supporting Ukraine without actually giving them a whole lot of what they actually need, which is ammunition.
Okay, finally on Ukraine. You've been reporting there for a long time, even before the war started. How likely is it that the Ukrainians in eastern Ukraine can defeat the Russians and kick them out of that area?
I think given the weaponry that they are asking for, even half the weaponry that they're asking for, Ukraine will be able to drive Russia out of their country.
Okay, it looks like a long road ahead. This will not happen overnight. Sure. You'll keep us posted, I'm sure, and I'm sure you're going to be back. Chuck, we appreciate it. Stay right where you are because we have another hot topic coming up. We're going to look at tens of thousands of migrants who are heading to the U.S. through Panama's Darien Gap. We'll discuss that with Chuck Holton when we come back.